We're very excited to have him on. It's been a while. I think the last time we had him on was during the semifinals. So we're going to be able to talk about Spain. Are they a dynasty? What's going on there, Moshe? What do you think about Spain? Is this team ever going to lose in a major tournament?
I think it might happen. Just, in the NFL they have this saying, any given Sunday. So maybe that could happen here. But I really don't see it happening. Spain was they were phenomenal. They were dominant. Maybe they weren't dominant all the time, but they were dominant when they had to be, and that's just what's important, performing when you have to. So I really think that they are the team to beat, for years down the line. Maybe I'm wrong. We will have to see about that.
Hi, am I speaking with Cub?
This is him.
Cub, you're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How you doing?
Good, man. How's it going today?
What was that?
Things are great.
Oh, great. We had a little technical difficulty there, but we have you on now. It's been it seems like it's been a while since we've had you on. We were telling our listeners that the last time I think we had you on was the semifinals of the Euro. We're going to start with the Euro before we move on to the free agency and the NBA because, of course, you also write for Slam. But before we get to all of that, I want our listeners who are just tuning in for the first time to understand why your name is Christopher Bunin, yet you go by Cub. I think that's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I mean, Cub was kind of a nickname. I was nicknamed Cubby when I was very young. Some family members, there's a Mickey Mouse Club type thing that was drawn into it. I had older brothers that nicknamed me all kinds of things, and Cubby kind of stuck. And then I got to high school age and was like, all grown up, I wanted to be called Cub. So it's just one of those, childhood family names. It's just kind of stuck. And Christopher's my given name, but not a name I respond to, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. And I remember when I was first talking to you, you told me, Rafael, call me Cub. Don't call me Christopher. So that's something.
Yeah, I don't even, Right. My mom used it when she was mad at me as a kid, I guess, but that's about it.
That's funny. So I was telling Moshe is my co-host tonight. He's here. We're talking about Spain, and I remember when we first had you on, we were having a preview. We were talking about they're missing Villa, they're missing Puyol. Okay, this isn't going to be their year, but Germany kind of messes up. Netherlands really mess up. Did Spain get lucky in winning the Euro, or did they deserve to win? Or what are your thoughts on everything that transpired against Italy?
Yeah, I mean, there was some fortune as far as the way the tournament laid out, I think. Again, the way that the groups were put together. But in big picture-wise, you got to look at Spain's midfield. They're just so loaded. They could lose two big, important pieces coming into, one of the world's biggest competitions, still come through, still face, again, they still had to face some tough competition, obviously. But I think just top to bottom, their midfield play was so strong, and they had so many pieces that they were able to, again, still lose some of those key pieces up top and in the midfield. And then you also saw, tactically, I think they made some adjustments. They put Sex Fabregas up top at times. They started him at times, and they moved him back a little bit to a playmaking position. So I think Spain really did, and their coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for the way that they maneuvered and kind of put themselves in the best position to win. And it wasn't always the most beautiful soccer. It wasn't always these, 4-goal games. But again, I think they deserve to take home another title, and they should be considered, this last 4 years or so should be considered as one of the best runs of international soccer ever.
All right, you are now on with Moshe. Do you think Spain has the potential to be looked at as one of the best teams ever?
Yeah, again, I mean, whenever you line up three major tournaments the way they have, taking home 2 European titles, taking home a World Cup, I mean, they go down to Brazil in 2 years and bring home more hardware. I think that isn't even a question. I think we can go and say this is one of the best teams we've ever seen. Again, I mean, I can't date back to the old 50s and 40s and the old Brazilian squads with Pelé or, the old Uruguayan teams or, even Eusebio's old Portuguese teams. But, I mean, just the way they're loaded top to bottom, their midfield is so strong. I mean, and again, this is a results-based business. You're bringing home hardware. You got to be in that discussion. And to win these tournaments that have so much competition, I don't think there's any way around not putting this Spain group, the Spain group of the last 5 years, in as one of the best ever.
Right. So if we're going to put them down as one of the best ever, who's going to be that team that takes down one of the best ever?
Oh, good question. Again, I think there's so many teams that have young developing talent. The game of soccer is growing even more so, obviously, over here stateside in America, but also just in general, I think there's so much young talent that's coming up that, you got to look at teams like Brazil, I think, teams like Argentina that year in and year out bring out, some of the best young talent. But again, I mean, teams like Germany, teams like Holland, these teams that we expect a lot from, and they've been, they've been able to put out good sides year in and year out. They have great competitions. Their club teams are, annually, competing for big titles as well. So probably my one team would be Germany because I think they still have such a solid base. Their midfield is so strong, and they do have young strikers they're bringing up, kind of through the ranks, getting mentored by the old guys like Klose and like some of these old vets that have been there for a while. But on the international team, you still got to look at the Brazils, the Germanys, the Argentinas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Argentina has had a lot of problems, but no question, ridiculous amount of talent. You know what, Cub? I would go as far as saying that, and I'm going to predict it right here, Uruguay will beat Spain in the next match that they play that's competitive. They will, because they are so talented, and they're at the point where they're right now. Forlan, I don't even know how much he's going to play more, but if he does play, with Cavani and Suarez and all the players, I mean, you can go from goalkeeper all the way to the offense, and they are so talented, and they're actually right now ranked 3 in the world, ahead of. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that team, if they're all lined up, everyone's healthy. I mean, they have a lot. I mean, they have a much smaller room for error. If they lose a guy, they don't have the depth that a team like Spain has. But yeah, that group, and if they can keep Forlan playing, if he seems like one of those ageless guys that's going to be able to keep playing, keep scoring goals, and keep doing his things. And we're even starting to see some Uruguayans make their way into the MLS ranks here in America. So yeah, that's another franchise another country that's just kind of on the upswing, I think, as far as where their talent base lies. And again, we saw them make the Final Four of the last World Cup. So
right, and I want to move on now. We'll get back to soccer. We have about another 15 minutes. I want to move on to something that I've just been following so closely that I love. And Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, is one of my favorite general managers in all of sports. And he totally just screwed over the Knicks. The reason he gave made it 15 years was for the third year because he knew that the Knicks didn't want to match it. Do you call this genius, or do you think this is stupid? Because, I mean, he's going to have to pay it, or, someone's going to have to pay him that. But was this a good move? This is pretty much was a move to stop him from going to the Knicks. What are your thoughts on this whole Jeremy Lin thing? It's gotten so crazy. Mark Stein reported a couple days ago, if it's $1 billion, he's going to stay with the Knicks. Now there's no way he's staying with the Knicks. So what's going on here? Was this Daryl Morey being a genius?
Well, I mean, I think there's a bit of that, and I'm really surprised. I still thought even after they restructured that offer sheet and backloaded it so heavily to $15 million a year, that the Knicks, I never thought they were not going to match. I mean, I always thought they would have matched Lynn's offer regardless because of what he means off the court. Again, His development as a point guard, is still yet to be determined. I still think he can develop into a really good NBA point guard. Is he a $15 million a year guy? Probably not, but the NBA is littered with guys that are making way more than they should make. And if Lynn is able to develop, especially under the tutelage of recent signee Jason Kidd, and he can become a solid, 15 points, 9 assists type of guy, then he is worth it. Because in this day of the NBA, point guards are everything. I mean, guys like Tony Parker and Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose and Darren Williams and Chris Paul. I mean, finding that next guy, and I thought throughout the whole insanity last year, and everyone was going crazy about him. I thought, and I wrote an article on Slam Online about it, saying, maybe all that matters is the Knicks have found their point guard. And again, Daryl Morey doing that. I mean, he kind of did that with a bunch of people. They did the same thing with the Omar Asik offer sheet. I think the Rockets were in such a weird position financially. They made all these trades. They got 3 draft picks in this year's NBA's first round of the NBA draft. They amnestied Luis Scola. I mean, they were gonna flip their roster over almost entirely anyway. Whether it was to try and get Dwight Howard. Again, it's a great time to be a writer down in Houston because of what they're doing. Daryl Morey, genius. I don't know if I'd say that, but he knows what he's doing.
Right. And, he knows what he's doing. And, I'm just going to stop listening to ESPN and all the reporters because I'm going to wait to see the deadlines tomorrow. You never know. I know they got Raymond Felton. I know they got Jason Kidd. But, I mean, we're talking about James Dolan here, who's not scared to spend money, and I don't think –
Right.
We'll see. I think we have to wait and see. I still think they can match it because I read a great article today in ESPN. I know I was just knocking ESPN. I know you work for ESPN. So I'll stop knocking ESPN now. I read a great article in ESPN today was saying that they could dump Chandler in 2013 next summer. They could dump Melo. They could dump Amari. They could dump one of those guys so it makes it work because everyone's been saying $75 million combined to those four, 75. But if they dump one of those guys, it's goes down maybe to $50 million. So. It's not like it's not possible. It's really just has to do with if they want to keep those core intact. And I look at them and say, Melo and Stoudemire hasn't worked. So maybe this could be a good excuse to say, hey, Amari, we wish it could stay, but we don't have enough money to pay. We decide to go with Lynn and Carmelo, or maybe they'll let Carmelo go. I mean, who knows? But
yeah, I wouldn't. Rafi, like you said, I wouldn't put anything past James Dolan. I wouldn't put anything past the Knicks organization. Deep down, I still think they're going to re-sign him because I think what he brings to them, what he offers them in a marketing sense, especially as the Nets move over the river into Brooklyn and they're making all these splashy off-season moves. Yeah, there's definitely a case we've got to keep up with the Joneses. They still need, the Knicks are going to be number one in New York regardless, but, again, like, at what cost? I don't think he looks in that terms. I think that's what, and whether Lynn is ever worth that much money, that's never stopped an NBA team ever before.
Right. No, it's true. And I want to move on now to there's been these these old, I don't want to say old guys, these veterans that have been released, amnesty clause. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. We want you to explain to our listeners what exactly the amnesty clause is because a lot of listeners don't understand. But a lot of guys, let's say the Elton Brands, Scola, all these guys who are veterans who are going to these teams, Ray Allen, you could go throughout the league. Which one of these guys do you expect to make the biggest impact next year with his club?
Well, you mentioned Ray Allen. I think he was a really great pickup for Miami in the sense of what we saw them lacking throughout their title run last year. Yes, it was a title run, but there were still times where there was definite things that you look at Miami and say, they're not a complete team yet. Yeah, they're loaded. They got the big three. But it really wasn't until they started getting some of this consistent outside shooting. Shane Battier made his name known in the postseason, a couple big games. Mike Miller came out of nowhere, obviously. And when they picked up Mike Miller, that's what they thought they were getting pretty much on a night-in, night-out basis, someone that can stretch the defense, bring the defenders out. When Miami has perimeter shooting, the lane is about 1,000,000 miles wide for D-Wade and LeBron to go to the hoop. And when Chris Bosh, we also saw his, importance on that team. When he came back in that Boston series, suddenly he was able to bring defenders out. He was opening the lanes up for Miami. So I think Ray Allen, if he's healthy, and he wasn't healthy during the postseason last year, I think we could all have seen that because he relies so much on his ability to get off the ground quickly, get his shot off quickly. But Ray Allen is a great pickup for Miami. I think Jason, conversely on the flip side, I think Boston picking up Jason Terry, he's kind of the great sixth man, that perfect kind of guy to come in and give them a little bit of perimeter scoring. He's won titles before. So I think those two, oddly enough, kind of in the same spot. I think Boston was really hurt by losing Ray Allen, but getting Jason Terry is almost like getting a little bit of a younger version. He's not quite Ray Allen, but again, he was a great pickup, I think, for them. And he was someone again, I am Denver based.
Right.
I would have loved to see him, make a move for someone like Jason Terry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to move on now and talk, before we get to the amnesty clause, one last question before that. What is going on in the NBA specifically with some of these contracts? And I'm just going to go over a couple. Nicholas Batum, the French guard, $46 million for averaging 13 points a game. Omar Ashik getting over $20 million. Landry Fields from the Knicks going to the Raptors for $21 million. What's going on here? Everyone was supposed to say that the CBA was going to help make people not make as much money. Yet these contracts are just if a guy like Omar Ashik can make $21 million, I mean, I love him. He's a great, great player. But to make $6-7 million here to be a backup who's just going to go in and get a few points and good rebounds is what's going on in the market, Cub?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, didn't we just have a lockout because of all this stuff?
Right.
And here we are. We're right back into the heavy spending, and guys are throwing around contracts that are ridiculous. I think in general, you look at some specifically, anytime teams throw money at big guys, they can always kind of preface that with, well, we need size. Everyone needs size. And the Nuggets here are, basically trying to, open up the vault for JaVale McGee here at the Nuggets as well. Size in the NBA is a bit of a lost commodity, I think, oddly enough. Again, teams are always willing to overpay for that next big man, whether he's a 20-10 guy or, like Ace said, he's just like a 10-8 guy or someone that can come in and give you great minutes. It is very perplexing about the ability to suddenly reopen, these checkbooks and start writing these ridiculous checks when this is why we thought we all went into this lockout last summer. The market, I think, is still figuring itself out within the terms of the new CBA, and I wouldn't be surprised if a year or two from now we actually start seeing some of the effects of the CBA because of these situations, because there's still some of these lingering issues. Teams are able to kind of unload money and still stay underneath the cap, and that kind of rolls into the amnesty clause kind of rolls underneath those same rules as well. But, yeah, again, it is perplexing because we thought we'd kind of seen the ends of these massive contracts for these unproven commodities, and then guys like Batum and these other individuals sign these massive contracts. So you're wondering, why did we lock out anyway before? But I still think we'll see that kind of come to fruition in a year or two where teams are finally kind of put on lock as far as, because as long as you have a luxury tax and you can go over it and you have owners like James Dolan and owners like the Buss family that are willing to go over it and pay the extra money, then they can still do what they want to do.
Right. So we've talked about the big contracts. You mentioned the amnesty clause before. So for our listeners out there, the amnesty clause, I think, is one of the more confusing, odd rules in NBA, specifically during free agency. So can you just explain to everyone out there what exactly is the amnesty clause and what does it allow teams to do?
Okay, basically it allows every team to cut one guy. Because in the NBA, contracts are guaranteed. This is not the NFL. You can't just cut a guy one day and boom, he signs with another team, which is kind of one of the greatnesses of the NFL is that, Peyton Manning comes to Denver and signs this massive deal. It's still a day-to-day deal. He can still be cut whenever he wants. Yeah, there's some guaranteed money in that, but in the NBA, your contracts are all guaranteed from the minute go. The minute you sign your contract, 4 years, $80 million, you don't get that money. Regardless of whether the next day you break your leg and you never play a minute in the NBA. So with the amnesty clause, it basically allows teams to get out from under bad contracts, and that money does not count against the salary cap. Now, you can obviously cut a guy, just generally, to say, oh, yeah, you're cut. We don't want you, we're going to get rid of you. But that money still goes into the team's books. It still counts towards the salary cap. So when you amnesty someone, you basically get one amnesty per team for these next 2 years. You can basically cut a guy and say, okay, we're done with you. We're still going to pay you. That money's still guaranteed, but that money doesn't count against their books. So, for example, here in Denver, coming into this past year, everyone was saying, they should amnesty either Chris Anderson or Al Harrington. Well, then Al Harrington goes out and has a phenomenal year for the Nuggets and earns his money and becomes one of the more consistent players last year, and now everyone's kind of changing their tune. I think it's kind of a given that the Nuggets are going to amnesty Chris Anderson because of his production and that contract he signed the year before. So basically, it does business sense to allow teams to cut guys, be done with them, they still get paid, but that money doesn't count against the salary cap, so they're able to kind of keep their number low. If they've signed, if they find someone that a year later realizes, that was a really bad signing, he's not worth that money, they can cut him, they still get paid, but they can keep the number low on their salary cap and avoid going into the luxury tax area.
Absolutely. This has been done with Gilbert Arenas. You can go, so many guys, Rashad Lewis, right. These guys have got these crazy contracts that pretty much, after 4 years, you kind of wondered why this happened. Do you see this rule happening in baseball? There's so many guys I could go through list and list. The one who comes to my mind right now, Vernon Wells, who is a Blue Jay, that's my team, was making $20 million a year. Alex Rios was making $13 million a year.
Jason Worth.
Yeah, Jason Worth. Maybe it could. Do you see this happening in baseball as well? This amnesty clause?
I think it's kind of a good alternative to just getting rid of guaranteed contracts because to go that far back for these leagues that have been established as giving guaranteed contracts, I think it is a good alternative, and I think we might see it pop up in other sports. Again, because you can't, you find Jason Worth is a perfect example. Washington unloads all this money on him, and he's not the same guy anymore. And, you still feel like you want to honor the contract, but at the same time, going to kill your franchise for years to come. And by amnestying guys, it does allow you to get out at least under the the cap restrictions. Now, again, Major League Baseball and the NBA have different cap restrictions, obviously, so it might not be as pertinent in those situations where, baseball is the classic case of the haves and the have-nots. The Royals and the A's are never going to be able to compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox because of the money, because of how much money they can willingly throw into their into their product. So I think there's fans of Major League Baseball that would love to see it happen for those situations. And Rafa, you mentioned your Blue Jays, but again, with guaranteed contracts, there's got to be some alternative to get out from under, a really bad decision that GMs make all the time.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. So many rules in Cup. We're going to let you go with this question. Are you going to be watching the Olympic soccer?
Yeah, because it's soccer, and if there's soccer on TV, I'm generally watching it. Again, it's kind of one of those weird things, I think, because it's not the junior team, it's not the national team, it's somewhere in between, and there's some faces and there's some faces you like and you want to watch, but, I'll be watching Olympic soccer alongside Olympic basketball, and part of me really wishes they would just go completely amateur with the whole thing, and the whole dream team was great. Obviously, when that all happened, I was, just getting out of high school into college, and it meant everything to me, the dream team. It's still to this day. Just watching those, the documentary that just came out, it was so great to see that,
right,
and to see those players. And I don't get caught up in the whole, we need to dominate basketball. Let's send all our best players. I'm at that point now where I'm like, I'd like to see the college guys kind of get back into it. I'd like to see the young, the guys that are playing the under-18 national team. I'd love to see them go over and compete at an Olympic level, because that's what it's supposed to be about. And the track stars and the swimming stars, those guys are all getting paid, to do their endorsements and to do their appearance fees. But that part of me would like to see it go back to the old ways.
Right. This is a dangerous Brazilian football team. You have Neymar's forward, midfield. You have Oscar, Sandro, Silva, who just went over to PSG. Rafael, of course, De Silva too, from Man United. So there's some talent. Brazil has never won the Olympics. They really want to win it, of course, going into the World Cup in Brazil. And in the basketball, I like the Spanish team. You're going to have Ibaka and the Gasol brothers down low. Rudy Fernandez. I wish Rubio was healthy, but I think that the finals again will be Spain and America. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think it's the one team that presents any problem to the American team is just the size thing. Having those three big men on that roster, and again, U.S. teams stand up front. You can look at Carmelo and LeBron and say those guys aren't really forwards or guards in the general sense. They're pretty big, but again, losing Blake Griffin to his injury, and now we're rolling out, or we, the United States, are rolling out Tyson Chandler, Kevin Love, and Anthony Davis. And I think Anthony Davis is a name that people that don't follow the college game are going to really, really kind of fall in love with this summer. Because again, we're going to see him get chances against some of the lesser-ranked teams. Once the U.S. gets up 30 or 40 on, whoever, we'll start seeing some of these other guys. But I still think that the U.S. is tournament to lose. They still have way too much talent. Kobe, LeBron, Carmelo. This is still a great organization. Still a great unit, and is the one team I think. I'm not going to discount Argentina because they have that pedigree as well, but they're just a little bit older. I haven't seen enough of the young superstars coming up in the Argentinian ranks. Whereas Spain, again, being able to keep Ibaka with them, and then having the brothers, Rudy Fernandez, Navarro. There's still a lot of talent that's played a lot of big time hoops in their lives. So I think Spain's going to be fun to watch.
Well, Cub, as always, it's been great. We hope you have a good day, and we hope to speak with you soon.
All right, man. You guys have a great one, too.
All right, Cub. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, that was Cub Bunin from ESPN Denver. We're going to take a short commercial, and when we're back, we're going to have Mark Serber from Fox Sports. We're going to talk about some Americans making some noise in Europe. Dempsey, Bradley, there's a lot of guys. So we're going to start off with that. Stay with us on Lewis Live.
On Israel Sports Radio.
And we're very excited to talk about the Americans who have really made a huge effort to really make a name for themselves in the United States. And Mark, of course, is going to be based out of L.A., follows soccer, is a hardcore soccer, works for Fox Sports. So I think it's going to be extra special to talk with him about everything these American players have been able to accomplish in England, now Italy, and who knows where Dempsey's going. We'll talk about that, though. So we're going to go to commercial break right now. We'll be back in about a minute and 30 seconds.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strains is a revolutionary CC garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
All right, back on Louis Live. Raphael is here with
Moshe Kuyat.
Yes, and start off a great segment with Cub Bunin from ESPN's Denver. I believe if anyone out there in America is listening, if you want to check it out, if you're in the Denver area right now, listen, you probably know what ESPN Denver is, what channel it is, but I believe it. Yeah, it's
102.3.
102.3 ESPN Denver. Cub's great. He writes for Slam. He also does a lot of soccer work. He knows his stuff all across the board. We just specialize on soccer and basketball. But our next guest, very excited to have him on, Mark Serber, who works for Fox Sports, does a lot of the Mexican League, covers a lot of stuff in the United States. But despite that, still is very, 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 very familiar with everything going on. In the United States, in Europe, in Israel, he follows Israeli soccer. And let me tell you, folks, that is not easy thing to do.
Hardcore.
That's hardcore, exactly. It's on TV in America. It's not really fun to watch. I mean, this is coming from a hardcore Israeli fan. But hopefully we'll be better in a couple of years. And we're going to dial them up right now, and we're going to talk about the Glasgow Rangers and Celtic and what everything's been going on in Scotland. Of course, Bocanegra, I can't ever pronounce it. Carlos Bocanegra, the USA defender, plays for Rangers. He's already obviously leaving, going to a new squad. No way he's going to play for a penny. The Rangers are bankrupt to the max, have no money. So we are going to dial up Mark. It's always fun, always a pleasure. I'm going to start and talk about a couple Americans, and then Moshe is going to lead into the Dempsey talk, which is getting more and more exciting. There's some Liverpool rumors, but we will see if Mark can give us a breakdown of that exactly. And, there's a lot of great stuff going on in soccer. Fabio Capello being hired as the new Russian coach. Russia had a very, very disappointing tournament in the Euro, and hopefully Capello, who of course was a coach of England, will be able to help out. But I think Mark is online. Mark, are you there?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, Mark. It's a pleasure to have you on. We were just telling our listeners we're on right now with Mark Serber from Fox International, Fox Sports. And you're based out of L.A. You're an American guy. But we got to talk about these Americans making noise, and I want to start off with Michael Bradley, is the son of the former coach Bradley, who's now the coach of Egypt, going to Roma. That's pretty exciting. I mean, Roma is used to be at least one of the top clubs in Italy, maybe not so much anymore, but still a well-known name across Europe. Obviously, they're paying a lot of money to get him. He's still young. He's 24. He's been an instrumental team in the national team, instrumental part of the team and the national team. What are your thoughts on Roma signing an American?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, as an American, obviously, we don't only want our players to play in the top leagues, but the top teams in the top leagues. So this is a huge move, I think, for American soccer just as much as it is for Bradley. Roma finished it disappointing for them at 7th place, but I think with him coming into the side and the bite he adds, as well as his ability to push forward, but also his ability in the playmaker or the holding role rather, will allow Della Rossi to push forward. So I think that'll be huge for Roma and really help them this season. And I think that he's shown his worth at Chievo, that he can play at the top level, not only against these top teams, but now with these top teams. And I don't think it's going to be another Gucci Onwenu situation where he warmed the bench in Milan. I think that Michael Bradley is going to see a lot of playing time.
Right, and let's give another shout-out to American Brad Guzan, who is now, it appears, going to be the starting goalie when Shea Given went out. And I actually love Shea. I loved watching him in the World Cup. He's a fun guy to watch. But when he got injured last year, Brad came in and played really well. He's 27 years old. He's now going to be, from what I'm reading in different British newspapers, he's going to be the starting goalie for American-owned Aston Villa. 3-year deal. He's joining them on the U.S. tour. Again, another exciting thing. He started as he went to Villa from Chivas USA 5 years ago. Again, give us your thoughts on this. The starting goalie in the Premier League. We had a couple last year, but now it's official.
Yeah, I think Guzan's biggest problem throughout the last few years was that Shea Given was also on the roster. So
right.
With Given out, he's definitely number one, and just another example of Americans' abilities to turn out top goalkeepers, across the world in the best leagues and the best teams as well. And I think he's going to be huge for Villa, and he's going to need to be, because Villa's going to struggle this year, I really think. As one of my friends in Britain put it, they need to realize they're not, one of the top clubs anymore. They're not such a big club. And so I think that Guzan's going to be a huge part of where they finish in the table this season, because I think he's going to face a lot of shots.
Right, and I want to introduce you now to my co-host, Moshe. He's going to talk to you really about the creme de la creme, you call it, the Americans who's making noise this summer. Take it away, Moshe.
Yeah, so I think the most talented American soccer player, Dempsey, no offense, Landon Donovan. So it looks like he's going to be leaving Fulham. So where's he going to go? Obviously, we've heard a lot of talk about Liverpool, but that's not a done deal. What are your thoughts on his move?
I think Liverpool would actually be a great place for him. The way Brandon Rodgers likes to play with his midfield three in that 4-3-3 is he has two holding midfielders, and Gerrard and Lucas are perfect candidates for that. And then what you need in front of them is that creative midfielder who can not only link up with the forward line, but also get in there and score some goals as well. And that's exactly what Dempsey did at Fulham. So I think he'd be a great fit for Liverpool, although, obviously he'd be good wherever he goes. But I think at Liverpool, he would see playing time right away. And I just think that that's a, perfect fit for all parties involved.
Right. So now we're going to move on to another American. Some unfortunate news out in Scotland with the Rangers. Where's Bocanegra going to go? I've heard some talk maybe he's going to go to Mexico. What do you think? Is he going to go to England? Is he going to go to America? Where do you think he's going to go, and who do you think would be the best fit for him?
I actually heard via Twitter that he's being kept tabs on by Olympiacos in Greece.
Oh, wow.
And I think Greece might actually be a good league for him. I think the EPL, he would do well, but I don't see him tipping too many central defenders in the EPL to the starting spot at the moment. So I think that, he could definitely handle the pace in Mexico, but I think Greece would be a great place for him to play. Obviously, not the most stable country at the moment, but the tradition of Olympiacos and the passion of their fans, and also the ability to play in the UEFA Champions League would be huge for Bocanegra.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Clint Dempsey, a lot of reports out of Anfield. Dempsey in, Carroll out. That's been a lot of question marks. That's been in report on goal.com. We're looking at it right now. Carroll, who played pretty well for the national team, had that amazing header. I'm blanking out against who it was. Was it France or was it? No, I forget. Maybe Sweden.
Oh, Sweden.
Sweden, right? Yeah, amazing play. I think it was from Steven Gerrard. So, I don't know. Carroll had 1 year at Liverpool. They paid so much money for him. Is this the right move to get rid of him so quickly?
I don't know whether it's the right move or not, but knowing Brandon Rodgers and the way he likes to play the game and the way he likes the ball being moved around on the floor, he really sees Carroll as a one-trick pony. I mean, great goal against Sweden, but once again it came from a header. Every time Carroll was on the field for Liverpool... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Every time he was on the field for Liverpool, they were just sending in early crosses and having him either try and get a header on goal or flick it on to usually nobody running in behind him. So I think Rodgers wants players who can play with the ball on the ground, who can move it around, and he doesn't see Carroll fitting that mold. I think he'd be a great option off the bench as somebody who can come in and change the dynamic of the game, but I don't think that's what Rodgers wants, and so he really wants to get rid of him because he's not even taking loan spells, which is what Carroll wants. He says, I want to prove myself on loan and then see if I can get back in the Liverpool team, but I think Rodgers is really just trying to force him out.
Yeah, you're right. Rodgers is not. That's really what he can do. He's not the type of guy who'll put the ball on the ground. Even I remember in that FA Cup championship versus Chelsea, that one goal that it could have tied it. He's known for his head, and he kind of reminds me of Peter Crouch. I think that's a decent comparison. Like not necessarily a guy who should be starting, but a guy if you can come off the bench. You could, kick it up high to him and hopefully he can do something exciting, but not a guy who should play 60, 70 minutes. But we'll see what happens there. As I was saying while we had you on the line, reports out of Russia, Capello has been hired. It hasn't been confirmed, but those are reports. Terrible outing by Russia in the Euro. Well, they had a good first match, but the second, 2 after that were disasters. A very talented team, in my opinion. I think they were ranked top 12 in the world. That doesn't mean that much, but still very much a lot of talent. Do you think that Capello can turn things around and kind of bring back hope to Russia? Because they had a lot of momentum a few years ago.
Yeah, like you said, the first game was amazing, and then after that, the rest of their tournament was a disaster. Capello's a proven winner. Whether I think he can take, those creative players and give them that, give them the keys to the ship and let them run it and become a team that's, creative and aesthetically pleasing. I don't know so much about that, but I do know that he knows how to win. He has the players in Russia to win, and I think that with his mix of his, his tactics and also giving them a little bit of freedom, that Russia can be a good team and make waves in the next World Cup. I think he's a good guy for that job. He's obviously not going to give the team the same kind of dynamism as their last few Dutch coaches have. But I think that Capello's resources were kind of limited a little bit in England, and he's actually going to have more creative players this time around to fit in with his more rigid tactical systems. He wasn't the most exciting coach in Madrid, but they still won a league title. So I think Russia will win games. As to whether or not they can be as exciting as the creative players they have at their disposal, that's another thing to be seen. But Capello's never that higher, and he's always going to be in for this top job. So I think Russia did a good job on this one.
All right, let's move back now. I know we're going all over the place. I hope that's okay. Let's move back.
I'm loving it.
Good. Move back to the Premier League. The Spurs are the team of Israel, the Yids, as they're known by, making a ton of moves this offseason, getting a new manager, getting rid of a manager who, I don't know, finished fifth for his team. Or no, it was fourth. Chelsea just won the automatic bid. Top 4 in the Premier League. Pretty good year besides the end. Yet he goes his own way. We're talking about, hey, Redknapp. I mean, what do you see out of Tottenham? A lot of people were saying Bale was going to disappear. He decided to sign a contract, which doesn't mean much, but it means he will be playing next year. Still a lot of talent, a lot of rumors about Modric leaving, or for sure he's leaving. Giovanni Dos Santos, who's one of my favorite players, hasn't gotten any playing time since he's gone over from Barcelona, also wants to leave. Got the American goalkeeper. I mean, you could go on and on. Jermaine Defoe wants to play. I mean, there's so much to talk about this team, and you're the expert. So what's going on here with this Tottenham team? Who's going to be on the team next year and who's not?
Well, Rafael van der Vaart's definitely going to be on the team. Modric is pretty much a done deal. Right now, Real Madrid and Tottenham have already agreed on pretty much the transfer fee. What they're working out is the add-ons. So Real Madrid wanted the add-ons to go to at $5 million, so around $35 million. Tottenham wants it around $37 million. But that's going to be ironed out pretty easily. So you can pretty much plan for life without Modric. I think the biggest thing is going to be Villas-Boas, because I think one reason he's getting rid of these players is that he doesn't want to deal with the same kind of player power that he did at Chelsea. But one of the things you see in Villas-Boas is that he doesn't change his system. He sticks to his philosophy no matter what. So at Chelsea, even when his players were too slow to deal with that high line and the high pressure, he kept it anyways, much to the detriment, of them sliding down the table. And so it's going to be whether the players not only buy into his system, but whether he has the players for that system and whether he can adjust himself. The other big thing is for the players is how are they going to adjust to Villas-Boas, because Redknapp was very much a player's manager. He gave them a lot of freedom, was really kind of chummy with them, real relaxed, and, let the players be professionals, do their things. Villas-Boas is more out of the Mourinho model, which is micromanage pretty much everything. I mean, he sleeps in his office. He keeps track on every single little detail. So it's going to be how the players react to that. It'll be interesting to see whether Defoe moves on. They've kept Adebayor, which I think is a great for Tottenham. And Sigurdsson coming in, that's going to be big. And also, they're in a battle right now with Manchester United to see if they can get João Moutinho, who I think would add a lot of bite and thrust going forward in the midfield as well with Van der Vaart. Having Modric gone is going to be a huge loss, but with Sigurdsson, Van der Vaart, and possibly João Moutinho, you have a pretty good midfield as well as a solid attacking line and a defensive line, which I think can play pretty much within Villas-Boas' high-pressing principles.
Right. What about Scott Parker, Aaron Lennon? Lennon, a guy who's played for the national team, Parker as well. What do you see with these guys?
I think Aaron Lennon's really underrated. I've never really understood the criticism of him. He seems to be in and out of the lineup a lot, but when he's in, he creates chances. He's a really good old-fashioned winger, can also cut inside and score goals. And so I think Lennon's a great player. I think Parker, obviously wonderful, sitting in front of the back four and kind of sweeping up the danger and making sure it doesn't get to that point. But I think with if Moutinho were to come in, that would make Parker's job easier because he wouldn't have to worry so much about the link-up play and could just focus more on, being that destroyer in front of the back four.
Yeah, no, that was great analysis. And I want to ask you about something that's kind of random off topic, but that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been going all over the place. I was just thinking about it right now because I remember that Lennon used to play for Leeds. If anyone out there remembers Leeds used to be an elite team in the Premier League, an elite team in Europe, Champions League, all that stuff. What's going on with them? Do you have any idea? Are they in the championship? What are they doing these days? They just disappeared.
Yeah, Leeds is in the championship, kind of struggling, mid-table, trying to break that hurdle to get into those playoff spots. And they've had some success in the FA Cup in terms of getting into the later rounds. What happened with Leeds United was they started paying the players way over the top. I forget who it was, but there was one story where they offered some player, an unnamed player, like £30,000 a week, and him and his agent were so shocked that they were getting offered such a high price that their eyes opened wide and their mouths dropped, and they looked at each other. And the Leeds front office thought that they were upset, and they said, fine, you don't like $30,000, how about $50,000? So they were just kind of throwing money at these players, and the success was there, but as soon as the success stopped and the revenue from the Champions League stopped, all of a sudden Leeds were in a lot of trouble. And this was back in the days where you didn't have these Abramoviches and Middle Eastern owners who just, money's not an issue to them. So once the money dried up, there was nothing left. There was nobody to save them. So kind of a fire sale to sell off their players and couldn't keep their big names and dropped into the championship with relegation. Have been struggling to get back up to the Premier Division ever since.
Interesting. I know. I just read that they were in the third. I don't even know what the third is. The third one called League One or something. I forget what it is. It's they were
League One.
League One, right? So they were in that, but now they're back in the championship, and hopefully they'll be good to have them back because I loved when they were a good team because they weren't they weren't Manchester, they weren't London, they're in Leeds. So that's very exciting. I want to talk about a huge story right now, obviously in Italy and in France. I know you know where I'm going. Ibrahimovic, do you get rid of him or not? They've already gotten rid of Silva, I believe for £30 million. Maybe it was more. There's a win and a lose for this. If AC Milan gets rid of Ibrahimovic, they get a lot of money that they can build for the future. But then maybe they won't win. Maybe they'll struggle next year. And those fans want to win. The supporters, I'd say. So what's going to happen here? Do you think that they're going to try and keep Ibrahimovic? Are the French just going to offer him so much money that they're not going to be able to say no? I mean, this kind of is like a Man City in France, which, I mean, we all knew that this was going to happen. They kind of started the rebuilding process, PSG last year, adding a lot of guys, but now it seems to reach the levels of what Man City was doing a couple of years ago.
Well, I think the biggest thing first is that you think about AC Milan, you don't think of a club of their stature, losing players to these clubs with bottomless pockets. So for me, that was a big deal. Pretty much the thing about Ibrahimovic is that deal's pretty much done. He's practically in Paris right now. He is deciding on contract details, ironing that out with PSG. So in my mind, he's no longer a Milan player. And this is actually a little hard for me because when I'm not, doing my professional job, AC Milan is my favorite team in the entire world. So
that's disappointing.
For me to watch him get rid of these players has been kind of nerve-wracking. They got rid of Pirlo last year just because they thought he was surplus to requirements. We saw, obviously, how that turned out with him in Juventus.
Amazing, right.
And now this year, getting rid of both Thiago Silva and Ibrahimovic, completely different. Those are players that they need, but the talk is that Berlusconi and Milan are both going through financial troubles, not only with Milan itself, but Berlusconi with his own jobs, or his own businesses outside of football. And so these deals are more balancing their wage books and also trying to get in line with the FIFA fair play rules that are coming in within the next few years that could possibly ban teams from European competition if they don't make as much money as they're spending. And so they're kind of getting ready for that. But unless they make some shrewd deals really quick to try and fill these two big holes, then they're going to struggle, especially in Serie A this season, which is not something that their fans expect. I think the big thing to understand is that Ibrahimovic is a much bigger loss than Thiago Silva, because AC Milan has capable center backs that can step up in Thiago Silva's position, even though he's one of the best in the world. But Ibrahimovic is just, how are you going to replace somebody who's scored over 20 goals, the last few seasons and has won every single league he's gone to? El Shaarawy is a good player, but nowhere near the stature or, the ability to strike fear in the hearts of defenses way Ibrahimovic has been, and Tato's been in and out with injuries. So I think AC Milan's gonna find a rough go of it, especially at the beginning of this season.
Interesting, yeah. A great point about Pirlo. Helped Juventus win for the first time, I think, since 2003. That was great. And of course, had a very, very, very amazing not World Cup, Euro. I mean, it was very, very important part of that Italian team that made it to the finals. We've had so much fun that we're not even going to get to the Euro. That's old news. I want to move on now to the Olympics, which, in my opinion, I'm a huge, huge football fan since birth. I love the Olympics. Everyone thinks it's crazy. Why watch the football? This year, there's a great excuse. My family has lived in Senegal. I know a lot about the Senegalese players. But if you just love football, look at the Brazilian team. I mean, from top to bottom, this team could be a national team. This team could probably beat most national teams. Their youth team with a couple of guys, or their U23 team with a couple of guys. I mean, I don't know. Do you see anyone really competing with this kind of team? So many superstars from top to bottom. I mean, you could go on and on and on. This is also another stage for Neymar to kind of shine on the Olympics. Brazil wants to win that Olympic gold medal before they go back to Brazil to play in the 2014 World Cup. What are you expecting from the Olympics? Can anyone bump off Brazil? And does Senegal have a shot for anything here? Because I love Senegal.
The biggest thing to remember is that Brazil, this is the one title that Brazil
they have not won. Right.
Still haven't won the Olympics. And it's always interesting because teams kind of come out of the woodwork. I mean, this is a huge tournament. I love it because, like you said, obviously the Olympics, but the fact that it's under 23, so many players, especially from the teams coming, from the African nations or other countries around the world, this is a chance to put themselves in the shop window.
Right.
So they're not only playing for their country and for pride, they're playing for transfers and to show themselves on the world stage. Brazil definitely, I feel like we have this talk every 4 years about Brazil and that they have an unbeatable team and whether this is going to be the year they win it. I think that this year they have more of a chance than in other years, but I kind of see this hoodoo just kind of continuing. I see Brazil going far, but I think there's always one or two surprise teams that catches everybody off guard and could very well be Senegal this year.
Right, and I got to give a shout-out to, I believe you pronounce it, Moussa Kante, who played for Maccabi Tel Aviv this year in Israel. Of course, Maccabi has a new manager this year, the youth manager of Barcelona, Oscar. So maybe he'll get some playing time. He's 19 years old. He plays in the midfield. It's going to be very, very exciting to see him playing in this tournament. I love watching, the African the African championships. I'm blanking on the actual title. I watch it every year with my family. I always support Ghana and Senegal unless they're playing each other. My father's been going to Senegal now for 50 years. So we're very big Senegal supporters. I want to ask you, are you disappointed that the U.S. is not playing in this tournament? Because this is something that could help the players develop their game to, when they reach the men's national team or the senior team. So what happened here? I know they lost to Canada. What exactly happened to them not making it?
They completely capitulated in the tournament. There were so many inquests into what went wrong during the qualifiers, and a lot of it had to do with tactics. So against Canada, Canada put an extra player in the midfield, and the U.S. had no plan B, no idea how to counter it. So there was a lot going on with that, but it's a huge disappointment, and it's a huge hole for U.S. soccer, and the fact that these players aren't going to get this experience of a major level competition before heading into the next World Cup cycle is really a big deal and a big loss for American soccer. But at the same time, the way they played in that qualifying tournament, they don't deserve to be there. So as Americans, we kind of have to swallow it and move on and hope that, as Klinsmann likes to put the positive spin on it, that this was an experience that they hope that makes these players grow and can help them to learn how to navigate these tournaments and do a better job and make sure they never have that feeling again. With that said, however, players who were in the last Olympic qualifying cycle said the exact same thing about missing out on those Olympics as well. And I think this is a huge gap in development for U.S. soccer by having our U23 team playing in this international tournament. But the way they played over those 3 games in qualifying, especially with home field advantage and everything, they don't deserve to be on the plane to London, and they're not for that reason.
Right. How about last question before we have to let you go, unfortunately. Mexico, led by, as we mentioned earlier, one of my favorites who doesn't get much exposure, Giovanni Dos Santos. Remember, he's leaving Tottenham, that's for sure. But this guy is a star. He proves it every year against the United States. You would know some of those goals that he scored against the U.S. a couple of years ago when the score was 4-2. I forget when that was. But this guy just didn't get much playing time in Tottenham. I think he's a star. He could be a star. He's leading the Mexico team. Do you see them maybe being competitive and maybe knocking out Brazil potentially?
I think so. Mexico has been tremendous at youth level the last few years. Won a couple of youth World Cups and also took Brazil to the brink in the last U20 World Cup as well. I think they lost to them in the semifinals. I could be wrong with that. But they have a tremendous ability to develop their youth teams and their young talent, not only by getting them in playing time at the club level, but the other thing in Mexico is they'll take their players away from their clubs and have them train with the national team for a long time. So unlike a lot of teams where these players are coming back from their clubs that only have 3 or 4 weeks, these Mexican players know each other well. They've been in camp a lot longer. They've been going through their development systems, not only with their clubs, but for months and months at a time with their various national teams as well. So Dos Santos takes his level to another game, or his game to another level when he plays with Mexico, simply because he knows these guys. It's his comfort zone, and they know exactly what to expect of him, and he knows what to expect of them as well. So I think Mexico is going to be a huge threat. And I think over the last few years, the biggest thing holding Mexico back was their own confidence, that they didn't necessarily have the belief that they could beat anybody, but from the grassroots level up, they now believe that they can take on and beat anybody no matter what jersey they're wearing at any given time, and that's going to be a huge thing for Mexico, and I think this could be a really big Olympics for them. If they don't win the gold, I expect them to still be within the semifinals.
Wow, okay, you heard it best. From Mark Server from Fox Sports, Fox Soccer. Mark, it's always a pleasure. I wish we had longer. We have to call our next American football guest, not football. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be in touch as always, and hopefully we'll have you on soon.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mark. Have a good day. Okay, that was Mark Serber from Fox Soccer, and we're going to take a short commercial break. On the other line, we are going to have
Matt Miller.
And who is Matt Miller?
He is a lead writer for the Bleacher Report, knows all of his NFL stuff, so it'll be a great segment.
Yeah, and before we do that, some breaking news. I think I might have missed out on most of the report, the Forte deal, $32 million.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And it's more disturbing breaking news. there are new Sandusky accusers now that go back to the 70s. So this is getting I feel like the media should maybe kind of stop this, because at first it started in 1991. Now we're talking 70s. This is when this is starting to get gross. I mean, 45 counts of child sex abuse was what he was charged with. It's about to get worse. I hope he goes to jail for life, never is let out.
I'm sure we'll hear more tweets about it from, who was that wide receiver who was talking a lot about, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, right. I can't remember who it is. I'll remember. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But we're going to come back. Ari Louis is in the house. Ari Louis, say hello to everyone out there.
Hello to everyone out there.
In case you missed Ari's voice, he's back here. He's on an adventure with Andy earlier. We're subbing in today. But yeah, we're going to take a commercial. And on another line, Matt Miller from Bleacher Report, a top 5 writer for them, which is we're very excited to have him on. It's going to be a short commercial. And we're going to start up with a lot of great stuff. So please stay with us.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat C, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
All right, back on Louis Live with Raphael Geller and Moshe. Our next guest, as Moshe said, Bleacher Report writer, or I guess you could call it a senior writer from Bleacher Report, Matt Miller. We're very excited to have him on. We have about 25 minutes with him, or actually we have about 18 minutes with him, and then we're going to go to Clonari, which I love Clonari. I've missed him. I haven't been able to talk to him in a long time, so it's going to be exciting for me. Then we'll finish off with AJ live from Las Vegas from the Summer League. And, so we're going to dial up Mr. Miller, Matt Miller, right now, and talk to him about some of the big stuff going on right now in the NFL world. Hopefully everything is okay. Matt, as we reported earlier, Matt Forte gets a new contract. That's very exciting for him. He's wanted it for a long time. Ray Rice is waiting for his. Marshawn Lynch got one.
Wes Welker
is waiting to get one. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Moshe, what do you think about Peyton Manning? There's been a lot of reports out of Denver training camp that he is just balling. He's back to himself.
I mean, that's training camp. We'll see how it actually goes. Obviously, Peyton Manning, on top of being one of the best players, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and in my opinion, of all time, he's one of the smartest players of all time. So I think that even if he's lost some of his arm strength and stuff, that he will be okay. I think he's going to be great for this team. But, only time will tell. It was a great pickup by the Broncos, obviously. Anytime you have a chance to land a future Hall of Famer, and I don't really think that's disputed.
No. Even by me, I won't dispute that.
And you're a Patriots fan, am I
very
right?
serious one, right?
Yeah, so coming from a Patriots fan, that's pretty big. So anyway, that's a great pickup out there. We'll see how he matches with the wide receivers. That could really give them a boost to their career. As we all know, he gave a boost to the career of Pierre Garçon, who signed with my Redskins for a ridiculous contract. I think that's probably because Peyton Manning was throwing to him. But we don't know exactly what will happen. So, that'll be an interesting story out of Denver. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, training camp's not the same. People are going to go for his neck this year. There's no doubt in my mind people are going to try and hit him in the neck. That's the NFL. That's how they do it. That's how it's going to be. So we'll see what happens when he plays. We had an NFL show earlier. We had Randy Cross on, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Pro Bowl, 6-time All-Pro. And we talked about concussions. That's something that's very, very interesting. He talked about how he got knocked down 60 times in his career. Could have had potentially, he said something, out of those 60 times he was really knocked out of it, 20 of them could have been concussions. So, and he went back into the game. They had no idea back then. He played in the early 80s, late 70s. It's kind of scary to think about what's going to happen to all these guys. Junior Seau commits suicide. We don't really know what that was about yet. We're waiting for all the details. We want to pray and hope that it was because of all the problems with concussions and stuff. We hope that it wasn't just because he did it, but we don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next few months with what the NFL is going to do. They've done a pretty good job so far of helping out the teams and trainers and doctors of saying, if a guy looks like he might, keyword is might, have a concussion, he's out. He's out. No, that's it. Dunzo. You don't even mess around with it. So we'll see what happens. And last year, if everyone remembers the whole Colt McCoy thing, that there was a debate between Colt McCoy's father that he shouldn't have played, and it went back and forth. And we don't want that really to happen. That's not good. And, it's sad because you got to worry about, if I hit him in the head, is he going to have a concussion? Is he going to play next year? Am I going to get fined? You do stop worrying about the morals and you care about the money. This is why, folks, I'm not going to lie. This may hurt some people's feelings, but football is my least favorite sport. I love it. I still follow it religiously, but I'd put soccer, basketball, baseball, hockey ahead of it. I do. I don't really understand it. I moved to America at 11, 12 and discovered it. I didn't grow up with it. The other sports I really grew up with. So I'm still trying to learn exactly more and more about the game and what it's all about. An interesting story that we had on earlier, ex-Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams. If anyone knows why I made that reference, I think Marsha does. Greg Williams has come out and said, I will coach again. As I was saying on the show with Aaron, yeah, buddy, you're going to maybe coach your grandson's Pee Wee League. Even that is probably not...
He's more likely to coach the NFL than he is in the Pee Wee League, in my opinion, because they care all about that stuff.
Right, that's true, actually. Okay, how about high school football in Texas where they don't care, where people die there every year because they don't let them drink water? How about that?
Yeah, I'll give that one to you.
Okay. And one of, Williams, what is this, close friends? One of Williams' close friends, or maybe it's an assistant. It's an assistant. It's a Rams assistant. Clyde Simmons has come out and said, absolutely, he's too good of a coach and a person. Well, what was that he said? I believe Ari Louis and I played that live on our show. We broke that story. It was pretty much a bunch of F-bombs and talking about killing people, and maybe not killing, but taking people's heads down and tearing their kneecaps. And I don't know if I'd call that a good person. He might be a good person off the field and all that, but talking about hurting people is not being a good person.
When it comes down to it, though, football is a business. So if somebody thinks that he's going to win them the Super Bowl, I don't think they're going to really care about him as a person. Look at all those NFL players and other sports players out there who just do horrible things, and still they get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, smoke marijuana, drink alcohol, get arrested drinking alcohol, hit your wife, hit your kid. I mean, the stories are all over the place, and especially in the NFL. And that's something I think that Aaron's going to examine on next week's show. Why there's so much violence out of all the guys in the NFL and so many drug arrests. And Pac-Man Jones, I mean, oh my God, that guy has been through so much stuff in his career. You know what's crazy? He is now an ambassador to the NFL. He speaks in front of rookies and tells them not to make mistakes. I love Roger Goodell. I don't like that. I think it's stupid. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. But actually, I believe it was Pac-Man that I saw this article about today. Apparently, he dropped $1 million in one night.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, I didn't read the article. I'm not going to lie. I just saw the headline and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But what the heck? How do you do that?
He, buy a drink for her, buy a drink for him, buy a bottle for her, buy a bottle for him.
Buy a bottle for the whole city.
Yeah, no. You got to remember that some of these bottles are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. You know,
it's just crazy. He shouldn't be talking to them. Like, what's the deal with that?
I don't know.
I disagree with
this
that.
guy was a superstar out of West Virginia. Great quarterback. So much talent.
Oh man, that's just a wasted talent. I mean,
yeah. Well, he's trying to make it back right now. I think he's on the Bengals. The Bengals are the team who pick up anyone who's ever been arrested.
The Bungles?
The Bungles, right. So, we'll see what happens there. Another big story into the newsroom earlier today. Well, I guess it's not really a story, but it's just something ongoing back and forth. Wes Welker is probably not going to get a deal. But Wes, what are you complaining about, man? You're going to make $9 million a year next year, and then if they give you the franchise tag again, you'll make $12 million a year. I mean, you're a receiver. You're a slot receiver. I know you lead the league in yards every year, receptions, but dude, come on, $10 million a year. I mean, this is the NFL. This isn't the NBA. This isn't MLB. This isn't a place where Vernon Wells can get $20 million and Rashad Lewis can get $22 million and Amari Stoudemire can get $20 million after having 7 knee surgeries. This is the NFL. This is where your money is very hard to get. Look at all these running backs. Ray Rice, who's probably one of the best running backs in the league, I'd say top 5, can't get any money, and that's because he's a running back. So, if I was Wes, I'd chill out a bit, sit down with your honey, with your wife. He has a pretty good-looking wife, I might add. I saw that because he went vacationing with Brady and Gazelle earlier in the year, or after the year. After, Gazelle started screaming after the game, "Oh, Walker is horrible. He can't catch anything, blah, blah, blah." So that obviously was a bunch of
Whenever
crap.
you have a model screaming about football, I think that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. She's a pretty good-looking model, though, in my opinion.
But I don't think that matters for talking about football.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, look at Bill Belichick. I wouldn't say he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, does he have a good-looking wife? Probably. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But
also, by the way, out of other crazy contract stories, Ed Reed. We haven't heard that much in the news, but he's holding out again.
Like Darrelle Revis, it's a new thing for these defensive Pro Bowl caliber guys that want him. Holding out, Ed, come on, man. Ed's my boy. Ed's
Just
one of my favorite players.
Shut up and play some football.
I mean, he's old now. He's made at least $20-40 million in his career. He was going to retire. So how do you go from retiring?
I mean, he started saying that he was going to retire early because that's just his way of pressuring them to giving him more money. This guy's just full of it. He just wants more money. Just shut up and play. I mean, honestly, I have so little respect for guys like that.
Though, Moshe, Ed Reed is one of the most hardest hitting safeties
in the league.
So
just ask Greg Jennings.
So, I mean, I don't know. Would Ray Lewis ever do any of this crap?
Darren Sharper.
No, yeah, that is. But Ed Reed is more of a hard-hitting safety than Darren Sharper.
I'll give you that.
Right. So we'll see what happens there. Ray Rice might be holding out. So this Ravens team is a disaster right now. Terrell Suggs is coming off that Achilles injury. But our good friend Jerry Coleman has told us multiple times that I believe that Terrell has texted Jerry and told him he will be ready to go in January or December, I think it was. So that's, what is that? December is week 12 or something? So
yeah.
Maybe November. He's been telling the media November, but that's not going to happen. But who knows? Wes Welker came back from an ACL in 6 months and 20 days, something crazy. He didn't play in week 7, or he tore his ACL in week 17 and was ready in the preseason. That's pretty astonishing.
Yeah, well, they've got now these hyperbarometric chambers that the players are using, which they say it helps. Kobe Bryant used it, and it looked like it helped him.
Right. They also have. I was actually going to do this. Everyone who's a loyal listener to the show knows I've had a problem with my arm. It's called plasma-rich therapy, and I'm still debating.
It's like in Germany, right?
Yeah, it's in Germany. No, it's in Israel actually. There's
cool.
a headquarters in Tel Aviv. There's some the main doctor is in Germany. There's some in New York, obviously, but it's a therapy that just kind of rejuvenates your body. And A-Rod has done it. Kobe has done it. I think a couple of random guys like Elton Brand, those kinds of guys are trying to do it. I mean, they had Elton Brand and Rashad Lewis. How much? And Gilbert Arenas. Jesus, how much money did they make from their contracts?
I don't even talk about Gilbert.
Oh, Gil. Speaking of Gilbert, I don't even know where he is now. I know he was in Memphis last year. At least Rashad Lewis and Elton Brand are still respectable in a way where people want to pick them up because they're veterans. But Gilbert,
oh man,
yeah, it's pretty sad.
Are we gonna find him out on the streets shooting somebody?
Maybe he'll be shooting. Who was it? Nick Young, who was threatening to shoot? I forgot who it was.
No, it wasn't Nick Young. It was some guy who they just let go right after.
Jarvis Creighton, I believe.
Yeah, Javaris Creighton.
Right, from Georgia Tech, I believe. Yeah. Nick Young went to USC. I don't know where he's at either. I think they're both out. So that kind of was like a funny story where, this happened and now they're both really out of the NBA. Or maybe Gilbert's trying to come to Israel, Gilbert. I'll gladly open.
I'll watch him play Maccabi.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, your future in the NBA is over. And not to mention, people forget he didn't become a star until a couple of years. And Ari, our draft guru,
really.
I think Ari, 2001. By the Warriors, right, Ari? Warriors? Wizards, Warriors.
No, he was drafted by the Warriors. The Wizards signed that huge contract. He had a few great seasons.
What was his nickname? Hibachi?
He had a whole bunch. He was Hibachi, Agent Zero.
Agent Zero.
Him and Clinton Portis used to have like this whole give myself another nickname because it's another day thing going on, which was pretty funny when they were good.
Yeah. Well, Clinton Portis was never bad. He just kind of got old.
Right. I meant the Redskins when those teams were good. Everyone forgets the Wizards were respectable.
Right. They're 4-seed, Caron Butler and Antoine Jameson. And who was their coach back in those days? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, man. You're stumping me here. I should know this one.
I'll figure.
Was it Eddie Jordan?
Eddie Jordan, yes. He was their coach back in the days. Then they went down a lot of paths and recently fired Flip Saunders, and Flip Saunders can fix things, and you're in trouble. Flip Saunders is a great coach with Kevin Garnett, with the Timberwolves, and then after the Larry Brown era took over, maybe it was before the Larry Brown era with the Pistons, I don't really recall, but a great coach, couldn't do it there. Now they have Randy Whitman as their coach, former Hoosier. Shout out to Hoosier Land.
And they have Bradley Beal, who I think is going to be really good.
Right, number 2 pick?
Yeah, number 2 pick.
Right, that was a bit weird by the Wizards. From Florida, great guard, 6'2", 6'3". Jason Blesnick loves him. But let's go back to football because that's.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's what this segment is about. A lot of interesting stuff. Whoa. No, that was. I've been here since 6, so it's been.
All right, I'll let that one go.
I've been doing a lot of talking. It's been a lot of fun though. Ari was telling me they'll get the guests to learn how to produce, which is what I'm going to do because I don't know how often I can do this. But it has been fun, and we have, believe it or not, with 40 more minutes, and we have 2 great guests. But another big thing that we haven't talked about, Moshe.
Yeah.
Drew Brees, $100 million. What is it? 5 years. Guaranteed money is $60 million. Where in the NFL, that's like, wow. I mean, that's crazy. If Drew Brees tears his ACL tomorrow,
God forbid.
And he never plays another down, he will get $60 million. Now, that's different in baseball and basketball. You have Allen Houston, who didn't play for like 20 years and still got paid like $100 million. But in football, they don't give out guaranteed money because it's a physical sport. But $60 million guaranteed. How old is Drew Brees? Drew Brees is old. I mean, it's not. He's been around for a while. He was, a superstar, a star. For the Chargers.
33. Yeah. Still got some years left.
33. I mean, whatever. For 5-year deal, he'll be 38. He had only a 4 or 6-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, but he blossomed later in his career.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying this is a good signing. Don't get me wrong. I think this was a little ridiculous.
Well, he wanted it. He wasn't signed for $90 million. It had to be.
Yeah, but he knew he could get it. I mean, when you've got that sort of talent, and you've had that effect on a city, on a team. New Orleans Saints are a great story with Katrina and everything.
Right, that was fun, but no disrespect to the people in New Orleans, that story can't last forever. That's the best way to put it.
But also, let's talk about this deal for the future. This could be good news for other young quarterbacks who are going to be looking at some new contracts soon.
Right.
Eli Manning, not Peyton, Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco. Let's even look down the line towards Andrew Luck and RG3. Who knows? But this could be a big deal for quarterbacks down the road.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think maybe a little too much money, but we'll see what happens.
By the way, $37 million signing bonus just for this year.
Right. Yeah, that's the interesting part. His salary for this year is $2 million, but his signing bonus is $37 million. So
that's a lot of money. I think Pac-Man might not be able to blow that in one night.
No, I don't think anyone could. Well, maybe Mike Tyson or some stupid person like that. But not that I don't like Mike Tyson. He's just crazy. But
he might bite your ear off.
Yeah, he might bite your ear off. But yeah, $37 million. Hopefully he donates, 10% of it to something. I mean,
he seems to be a nice guy and everything, so no runs with the law.
I don't think any athlete has made that much in 1 year from, I guess it's not salary, I guess. It's really complicated because it's not salary, yet it is salary. It's not coming from his endorsements, so it's really, it's how you word that, but he's getting $39 million for 1 year. No one does that. The only person who does that really... Oh, wait, yeah, no one does that. No one can do that. Maybe
you had me scared there for a second. I was like, who are you talking about?
Michael Schumacher, the Formula One racer in the early 2000s, but I still think it was endorsements. I would say Tiger Woods, but most of his money is endorsements.
Endorsements, yeah.
Kobe, maybe. I think Kobe made 20-something million last year, so that's not even close. A-Rod, $28 million. I'm just thinking. No one makes that kind of money, and I don't know. I don't think that Drew Brees is that kind of guy you could ask for it. He's not going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He'll go down as one of the best in this era. I mean, Peyton Manning and Brady are better than him. It kind of sucks for him because if they weren't in this era, he probably could be one of the best of all time. But
all right, so I have a little vendetta against Brady.
Ooh,
be
careful.
I know. I think they're pretty close, though. I think different systems benefited Brady better. But I still think Brees is a great quarterback, as you were saying. And one thing you have to realize, quarterback is a hard position to replace. So they were just trying to keep him around because if you lose your quarterback, you lose your team. Really, let's be honest. Very, very rarely can a team.
Look at Mr. Manning last year's.
Exactly.
2-14 Colts.
Yeah, suck for luck.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to call Clonari Carter, though, because I've missed him a lot. Ari's been able to talk to him with Andy, and I have not, only on Facebook and on chat every once in a while. And I love Clonari. We first started talking, it was back in March. No, wow, I'm looking at it now. February 20th was our first time we ever interacted. And since then, he's been like family to Israel Sports Radio. He does a lot of good work for us, comes on every week. Ari was probably plotting to have him tomorrow, so sorry, Ari, about that. I took away Clonari from you, but I wanted to talk to him. And I don't know. We're going to talk with him about the Heat and Ray Allen and all their plans and everything. It's very exciting to talk to Clonari. He has written...
Raymond Felton.
Wait, why Raymond Felton? What does that have to do with...
He was traded to the Knicks, I think.
Oh. What does that have to do with the southern area, though?
Oh, no, not southern area. Just basketball. Just
basketball, right. Yeah. And, also Rashad Lewis joining the Heat. And, of course, the Bobcats have made a lot of moves. Ramon Sessions from the Lakers. Anthony Davis. Not Anthony Davis. Who did they take with their pick? I'm trying to remember. We'll look it up. But a lot of moves going on in Charlotte. They're going to be better next year. There's no doubt. They're going to win more than, 11 games? Or what was it, 6 games or 7 games, whatever it was.
It was 7.
7 games. So they're going to do that for sure. Who knows? Maybe they'll win their first 10 games. Maybe. Just kidding. But we're going to call Clonari, and then it's really exciting. We are going to be calling our good friend AJ Minnick, who's in Las Vegas, working for his club, their basketball squad, Rishon LeZion, scouting. He's not going to be able to tell us who he's scouting, obviously, because he's doing it off the radar. But he's going to tell us who's been making moves there, what's going on, how the Israelis are doing, or not necessarily the Israelis, but the Americans playing in Israel that are there. Maybe a little Zach Rosen talk, see what's going on with him. AJ's an entertaining guy, a fun guy. But right now, Clonari Carter. Matt Miller, we couldn't get a hold of, but that's fine. We'll have him on another program. We'll be in touch with his representatives. And now we are going to call Mr. Carter, Clonari Carter, live from the ATL. Start off with some hoops, Heat hoops, Bobcat hoops, maybe some Braves talk, some Marlins talk. Yeah, hopefully everything's okay.
Hello.
Hi, am I speaking with the Clonari Carter?
Hey, man, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Clonari. It's a pleasure to have you on. I haven't talked to you since June, so it's been a while. I'm here with Moshe in the studio.
Hey, Clonari, how you doing out there?
You said what?
Hey, how you doing out there?
Bro, I'm doing good.
And, it's been a while, Clonari, so let's start off the Bobcats making a lot of moves. Michael Jordan making moves. Of course, we already talked about their new coach, Mike Dunlap from St. John's. I don't really know what to think about that. We're going to wait to judge that until that actually happens. But how about Ramon Sessions coming over from the Lakers, a solid point guard, a guy who can give you 15 points a game, 8 assists a game, joining this team? What are your thoughts on his addition?
Well, what you're speaking about, Raymond Sessions, who had a great he actually did better in Cleveland than he did when he was actually with the Lakers.
Right.
He's a great guy who can come in. He can put about 15 points a night. 15 points a night, 5 rebounds, 4 to 5 assist type guy. So, and he's a very good veteran in the league right now. So, hopefully he's somebody that the Bobcats could go on ahead and depend upon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, looking at this lineup, you're going to hope that right now the core or the kind of the starters will be Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Gerald Henderson, of course, Kemba Walker, maybe Tyrese Thomas. I mean, there's talent on this team. Tyrese Thomas was successful for the Bulls. Kemba Walker had a good year last year. Ramon Sessions has proven. But there are some guys that you
Gerald Henderson did pretty well as well last year.
Right, very true.
His scoring.
Yeah. But I don't like the big men, Clonari. I don't really like the centers or, Brennan Hayward. I know they got him, but big deal. I mean, they just got him, I think, a couple days ago. Though the biggest move that they were able to do is to get Ben Gordon.
Yes.
Yes, Ben Gordon. That huge deal for Michael Jordan. Ben Gordon with Kemba Walker. I like it. I like that a lot. What do you think? Is this team a playoff team? Am I crazy for saying that?
Not a playoff team.
Not a playoff team. Okay. I got a little too ahead of myself.
Yeah, but when you speak about somebody like Ben Gordon, he's basically good for 15 to 20 points, which is great. Especially, I don't know what his role is going to be. I don't know if he's going to come off the bench as their sixth man or if he's going to be starting in that lineup. But Ben Gordon, just like Raymond Sessions, he's a veteran. He knows the game. He's very, very coachable. I haven't heard of too many coaches having too many, run-ins with him or anything like that. He seems like a good man, and hopefully he's somebody that can help lead the Charlotte Bobcats and get them a step further. I mean, the Bobcats have millions of steps to go, but hopefully Ben Gordon can help him out in that.
I'm saying, Clonari, right now on July 16th at 10:30 p.m., the Charlotte Bobcats will be the number 8 team in the playoffs next year. I've been so excited to talk to you about this. I think they've made amazing moves. Amazing moves. I'll start from the top. I like Derek Brown. I like what he was able to do at Xavier. They need to get rid of Diop. They need to get rid of him. He's a Senegalese, but I love Senegal. They need to get rid of him. Ben Gordon with Kemba Walker. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. And Jeffrey Taylor, a guy who can flat out shoot from Vanderbilt. 6'7", plays for the Swedish national team. He's a baller. I mean, this guy could have gone the first round. It was the first pick, or the second pick in the second round. An amazing player. The East sucks. Let's be honest. Look at the East last year, 6, 7, 8. I want to pull it up and tell our listeners about it. the East was horrible last year. I mean, the Bobcats have a legitimate 5 right now, in my opinion, and especially if Ben Gordon can, he can be finally the leader of this team. I think there was too many problems with him going to Detroit. Other players that had been there for so long, Prince. I'm trying to think of, I guess, Billups, or not Billups, Rip Hamilton before he went to Chicago. But now it's kind of like this is going to be Ben Gordon's team for sure. And Dunlap's going to give him authority to do what he wants. So I like this team. I like this team. I'm saying the 8th seed in the playoffs. You could still be 10 games under 500. So
true, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens there. It's always fun talking about the Bobcats. And I kind of want Michael Jordan to do well. Is that bad of me? Is that bad I want Michael Jordan to succeed?
No. I think everybody is wanting Michael Jordan to go on ahead and succeed and show that, he could be a champion, not only as far as, merchandise and advertisement and as far as, the game himself, but being able to actually be a general manager, owner, being able to actually work in that front office and actually get some things done. Success only breeds success. So, he's been behind a little bit, but I think eventually he will get there. My only thing is, with the Bobcats, you're talking about a team that possibly could make the playoffs, in your opinion. But
my opinion,
most
right.
teams that do make the playoffs, they have at least one All-Star. So who would you designate as the Bobcats All-Star?
Ben Gordon. It's time for him to come back from his slump. When he was in Chicago, he was sixth man of the year, 20 points a game on that young Bulls team with Chris Duhon and Kirk Heinrich, all those guys 4 or 5 years ago. It's his time now. He's a veteran. He wants to do well. I mean, there's no pressure there. They can't do worse than last year. It's not possible. I mean, it's just not possible. I like this Bobcats team. I'm not saying that they're going to, win their first round series. I'm just going to say that they're going to be in the hunt, and I hope they make the playoffs because I think it'll be exciting for Jordan, exciting for Charlotte, and exciting for you, Clenari, because then you can tell us all about it, and we can have an excuse to talk about Charlotte more because there's never much to talk about. Moving on to the Heat before we move on to the Atlanta Hawks, which have made a ton of moves, but let's move on to the Heat. Have you heard anything about Mike Miller? The dude could barely walk in the finals. Do you think is there any reason for him to come back after getting the ring?
After that, and then actually watching he performed great, but sometimes it's about your health, and Mike Miller right now, he's not the most healthiest individual on the basketball court. I was looking at some things over the weekend, and they haven't said yay or nay on whether he will be coming back or not. And I think only time will tell as we get further into the off season. Hopefully around the end of August, beginning of September. Hopefully we'll hear something.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he doesn't come back because his back is ruined, and if he comes back, it's going to be worse. And he doesn't need to come back because they added Ray Allen. How do you like that addition? Danny Ainge yesterday said Ray left us. We try to keep him. I don't even know why he would say that. Let the guy go in peace. It just adds more drama for ESPN to blah, blah, blah about. But what do you think of Ray Allen suiting up next year with the big three?
I think it's going to be great. Matter of fact, I like the addition of him and Rashard Lewis. Like I always say, being from Seattle myself, watching those two, and what was it, 2006, 2005, 2004, watching those two come along. They did great for us up there. And I think that they're going to do well in Miami as well. I do understand, Ray Allen, and I understand why he left Boston. He lost his starting position.
Right.
Excuse me, it's kind of loud. He lost his starting position to Avery Bradley. And then when he came back off an injury, they continued to let Avery Bradley start at the shooting guard. And, that was kind of a bit of a slap to the face. And then you're talking about the trade of Ray Allen and O.J. Mayo.
Right.
O.J. Mayo was supposed to be coming up from Memphis and, taking Ray Allen's spot there, and that trade didn't go through. So, Ray Allen's like, hey, you guys offer me a 3-year, what was it, 3-year, $15 million or $12 million, and you give Kevin Garnett 3-year, $34 million. You kind of look at the numbers and you say, well, maybe Ray Allen has a point. So, hey.
Yeah, but Clenari, I'll play devil's advocate. He went for less money in Miami. So what do you think that was about? Just another chance? Do you think my theory, Clenari, is that he's going to Miami so that next year he can beat the Celtics and be really excited about it? What do you think about that?
I believe that that's the answer.
Right.
I believe that is exactly why he's going to Miami. Plus, he knows that he can get a championship there as well. And like I said, Boston kind of slapped him around in the face a lot last year. As far as, he's a veteran guy. He's a guy that's been around. He's a veteran all-star type guy. We're talking about the Big Three. And how do you have a member of the Big Three coming off the bench?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually, I haven't thought of it that way. And, the way I see it, too, is that he can go to Atlanta and kind of chill. I mean, he kind of doesn't have to worry about being the Big Three. He can just say to himself, I need to be the new Mike Miller. Let's say Miller retires. Put up 10 points a game, make a couple threes, get the crowd excited. Kind of be a Kyle Korver. That's really my best. And he doesn't need to do much anymore because he has the Big Three. He's not going to be expected to, shoot it 15 times. Where with the Celtics, there was a lot of pressure on him playing well with those ankle injuries, and he's not going to need that. In Miami, he's going to be able to relax. He's going to be able to be on South Beach, and I think it'll be interesting. Regarding Rashad Lewis, that's a great deal. They pretty much pay nothing for him. Rashad has a chance to completely get on the right track, get a ring. It's a pretty sweet deal for Rashad if you think about it. He could have been released and never been picked up by a team. But no, the defending NBA championship team signs him, and now he's there, I believe, for 2 years. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens there. Now we're going to move on to your home state, ATL Hawks. Here's Moshe to take away. Your Hawks.
All right, let's get some Hawks talking. Dwight Howard to the Hawks. I know it seems crazy, but there have been rumors about it. They have been talking with the Magic this entire time. What can you tell us?
I don't know if Atlanta has enough pieces. I know that this is Dwight Howard's home, and of course, the home team is going to always go for that home all-star. My thing is Danny Ferry being up there in that front office, and he's been making some great moves lately, and hopefully he could pull that one off. My worry once again is just, do they have enough pieces? I've been hearing about Jeff Teague and Al Horford possibly being moved in that deal. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one yet. You got to look at all of the pieces and make sure that the salary cap fits. And they got rid of Joe Johnson, which gets rid of a lot of that salary cap that they actually had, held up and things like that, which is awesome for the Atlanta Hawks. It's great for Danny Ferry, and he's coming here and he's starting something brand new.
Right. Talking about pieces, sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I think the Atlanta Hawks could be one of those types of teams. They've made some great moves this offseason. They've been moving people around. You mentioned they moved Joe Johnson out. I think Lou Williams, though, is a great pickup. I think some people might be overlooking that. I think he's a great six-man to have. Maybe provide a little bit of heart in there.
Led the 76ers in scoring last year. People forget that.
In only 26 minutes, I believe. 26,
right,
27 minutes.
0.6
coming back home.
He's from Atlanta. Right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I like that one. I thought that was a great move, especially after you see Joe Johnson leaves and you go, wow, who's going to be able to shoot the ball? Who's going to be that guy that can go out there and shoot in bunches? And they picked up the right man, Lou Williams, and Lou Williams is actually coming back home to Atlanta, which is great. I'm always a fan of people coming back home. Especially, you think about it, him growing up, he watched Dominique Wilkins. Atlanta was possibly one of his, one of the teams that he grew up watching because he was right here. And being able to actually go out there on that court and take and take the court for your home team. There's nothing like it.
Right, and Clonari, I got to ask you, do you catch that USA-Dominican Republic game where Horford was 1 for 12 for Dominican Republic?
Yeah, and 7 points and 6 rebounds. Yeah, I saw that.
That was, I thought it was going to be a respectable game. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. And then it was funny when Anthony Davis made a 3 and then looked at his former coach, Calipari, who's, of course, the head coach of the Dominican Republic. That was a fun game to watch. I watched a lot of highlights of it. Anyway, back to the Hawks talk.
Yeah, so another pickup that the Hawks have made is Cal Korver, a great three-point shooter. I know Rafael was talking about him earlier. Get the fans going there. As I said, it looks like the pieces might be coming together for them Hawks. Is Cal Korver, do you think he can be one of those types of guys for the Hawks as well, where he picks up the crowd, brings a lot of energy to the squad?
I've always liked Cal Korver. He's always been great, whether he's been starting or coming off of the bench. One of the highlights was when he was in Chicago. He was able to actually spread the floor, and he had the United Center feeling good. He steps up in situations and in games when you actually need a veteran to go out there and put up some points and show a little bit of leadership as well. So I think that was a great move for the Atlanta Hawks, being able to actually pick him up. And if he's coming off the bench with Lou Williams, I like that. I really like that. That gives them about 20 to 30 points coming off the bench just between those two. So I think that was a wonderful move.
Yes, so like you said, great move, and that could work out very well for them. But back to the rumors, Josh Childress has been given the amnesty clause by the Phoenix Suns. Do you think maybe Atlanta wants him back maybe to replace Joe Johnson?
Well, maybe not to replace Joe Johnson, but when Childress was here a few years ago, he did very well for the Atlanta Hawks. He was part of that new nuclear squad that was actually coming together. It was Bibby was on that team. You had Joe Johnson.
Right.
You had Josh Smith, of course, Al Horford. And then you had Josh Childress, and he filled a very, very important role on that team. And unfortunately, they lost him due to some overseas signings. And it'd be great to actually have him back in the fold.
All right, Clonari, it has been an absolute pleasure, but we have to let you go. We have a reporter live right now at the Las Vegas Summer League, so we're going to get some talk about that. So if you want to tune in and check that out, you should. It's been a pleasure, Clonari. It's always fun. I look forward to speaking to you in August when I'm back on air with Ari. But until then, have fun with your wife, your family, and everything, and we'll be in touch soon.
Salute. Thank you very much.
Salute, Clonari. Bye. That was Clonari Carter, Israel Sports Radio Southern's correspondent. I love how he said salute because I just think of The Sopranos. That's in Italian, it's cheers.
Yeah.
The Sopranos, Ari and I have an obsession, which Moshe hopefully soon.
I'm getting there.
On the other side, AJ Mitnick live from Las Vegas to talk about the Summer League and all the Israelis there, the Americans who play in the Israeli League that are there. Okay, we'll be right back. And, a guy who's been playing really well lately, Derwin Kitchen, he's on a starting five of one of the teams. I forget which one it is, but he played it last year for he played for Rishon LeZion, I believe. Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. I talked to Doobie Pick about that the other day. He's very happy for him. We'll get an update on Zach Rosen and what's going on there. But we'll take a commercial. We'll be back in exactly a minute. So stay with us.
Tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
All right, you're back on Louis Live with Rafael Geller and Moshe Kwiat. Coming up right now, we've got AJ Mitnick. He's a scout for Rishon LeZion. He's out checking the NBA Summer League, and hopefully we'll get to hear about some of those Israeli players over there.
Right. And we're dialing him up right now. AJ is walking to the gym right now, from what he told me earlier today. So hopefully he'll pick up. And AJ, are you there? AJ, can you hear us? All right, we're going to try and call him again. There could be a problem with the connection. Yeah, of course, he is in Las Vegas right now. We're very excited to have him on. He's at the Summer League. And, I hope the connection doesn't ruin this, because I've actually been excited about this all day.
Yeah, you have. You just couldn't stop talking about the Summer League, Zach Rosen. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Zach Rosen, too.
Yeah, it'll be good to hear. I hope we can get a hold of him.
That'd be cool to see him play in Israel.
Yeah, I think that those are, someone told me that that's probably going to happen. I'm not going to say it. I'll say a source. So that source knows a lot.
Right.
And that's what he's hearing.
Hello?
Hi, AJ, can you hear us?
How's it going, guys?
AJ, what's up? You're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. You are our last 10-minute segment. We've had 5 hours now live programming. We're ending it with you live from Las Vegas. How is it going out there? What's going on?
It's going great. Just very busy, speaking with lots of players, lots of agents. It's a grind out here in Vegas.
Right, and I want to start off and talk about Derwin Kitchen, who is, I believe, starting for the. You know better than me. What team is he playing on?
He's been starting Denver Nuggets.
Right, and he's been playing well. So is he signed to come back to you guys next year, or what's really going on with that? Can you not tell us? Our listeners here, I'm sure, would be interested in that.
Listen, we have Derwin under contract. He's playing well. And listen, if Derwin can get an offer from an NBA team, nobody would be happier than I would, besides for maybe him. But listen, if you look at Americans playing over in Europe, it's very hard to find someone who can bring for us what Derwin brings. He's not able to chase his dream. I would really love, and I know the team agrees, that we'd really love to have Derwin back next year, and that's what we're trying to do.
Right, and there's been a lot of rumors in the Israeli media that Lior Eliyahu and Yogev Achayon were going to play in the Summer League. You're there. Are they there right now?
Yogev's here?
No, I'm asking you. Are they there right now?
Yogev's not. Actually because when we scout Eliyahu in Israel and in Europe League, everybody knows what Eliyahu can do. He's got his little flip shots, he's got his floaters.
Right.
It's a very awkward game. He's a very unique player. But in Europe, he's able to do what he does very well and execute it well, despite that he's very well scouted against.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, they don't know Eliyahu and what he does. So for the first few months when he's in the NBA, I think he's going to get people fits coming off the bench.
Interesting stuff there. And you said, talking to agents, you're talking to players. Is this your first time, AJ, at the Las Vegas Summer League?
It's my first time, and I'll tell you, it's been a real treat.
And what I mean, are the games right now being played where the Running Rebels play? Where exactly are all these games being held?
At the UNLV campus, the Town Tech Center and the Cox Pavilion, which are two very nice arenas, especially compared to. They're adjacent. They're actually connected arenas, so it's actually very convenient because you can literally walk back and forth between the games. So it could be halftime of one game, and you just walk a couple feet, and you're sitting at the next game. So going, and everybody's very accessible. So a lot of things are happening very fast.
And as a scout, what is your goal? What are you going to come back to Israel with? Are you trying to sign some players? Are you trying to check out the level of talent, or what? What exactly are you doing there? What is your role there right now?
My goal is to come back with at least 2 more American players that'll bring us back to the Final Four. Okay,
no, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that your goal next year is to come back to the Final Four and make it to the championship.
I think when you're working in professional basketball and you're putting in the grind to try to win every game, I think it's important to have goals to succeed. And I really hope that we have a successful year, and I know that the team is feeling confident and ready and motivated to do what it takes to have a successful year next year.
I want to ask you, there's been a lot of it's been an interesting offseason here in Israel in the Super League. A lot is having a new team. You're out of Rishon LeZion. Are you excited about making that 4, 5, 6 hour, 7 hour, depending on how fast the bus driver goes, 7-hour trip to a lot to play? I mean, what are your thoughts on?
Well, first of all, it's amazing for Israeli basketball. It's amazing for Israeli basketball to have a team in Eilat. I feel like Eilat is a place where they have a fan base that's dying to have a basketball team. They just signed a player, Scotty Hobson.
Right, from Tennessee.
He's an incredibly talented player.
Right.
And I think he's going to put fans in the seats because this kid can fly. You're going to see next year he's going to be in the highlights a good amount. But I think it's just good for the Israeli basketball. It spreads out. I think having a team in Givat Shmuel, I mean, what do you need? A team in Rishon, a team in Cologne, a team in Bnei Sharon, 2 teams in Tel Aviv? You can't have in a 25-mile radius 6 teams. So I think it spreads Israeli basketball around the country a bit. And I think for the long-term health of our league, it's a very good move.
All right, but AJ, you did not answer the question. Are you going to be excited about those 12-hour bus rides round trip, excuse me?
Depends. Are we going to win? If we're going to win, I'm excited.
You're going to win. You're going to win.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And listen, it's good preparation for myself. It's good preparation for any player that if you're going to play in Europe, you're going to have to further than a lot. So I think, especially for our team, that we're on the uprise, and we're going to possibly, within the next few years, play in Europe. I think it's good for our club for the preparations to play in Europe to have this trip to Eilat.
There's any fans out there listening in the area of Rishon LeZion or that kind of area, what would you tell them? What would you tell them? Are you coming back with 2 good players? What would you tell them?
Yeah, we're definitely going to come back with 2 good players. And you know what? If anybody from Rishon is listening, you guys are the best. Even Kitchen and Uter and Crawford are all here out in Vegas, and they've been saying it to their friends, and I can hear that they love playing in Rishon because of you guys. The warmth that you show, the warmth that the city shows, and how you guys got behind us last year during our playoff runs, it's really something special. And you guys really, we really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you guys even next year.
Right, and you mentioned Crawford. How's everything dealing with his injury? You said he's playing, or he's there. What's going on with him?
No, he's just here. I was sitting with him in the stands. He's walking fine.
Okay.
And I actually met his doctor in the stands, and his doctor said that within the next 2 months he should be fully healthy. So I'm looking forward for him to get back because he made a lot of progress before he went down. And I mean, Joe's an amazing player. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
All right, so we heard it from you, AJ, that Joe should be healthy in 2 months.
That's what I've been told.
That's what you've been told. Okay, and Joe is under contract for next year. So it appears.
No, Joe is not under contract for next year.
Oh, Joe. So are you guys trying to bring her back, or is that confidential, or is that within the team rules? What's going on with that?
It's not that it's confidential, but there's nothing going on with that right now. Right now, it's just Joe's just focused on getting healthier every day.
Got it. Okay, no, that makes sense. I understand. Injuries are being healthy is most important. Once you're healthy, then you can talk about contracts and all that. AJ, unfortunately, we got to run. I didn't realize what the time was, but we had you on for 9 minutes. It was a great 9 minutes. We got a lot of inside scoop. We could probably have you on again in the next week to hear what's going on with you, what's going on with the team, how you're enjoying your time. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, AJ.
It was a pleasure as always.
All right, AJ. Enjoy your time and good luck to Kitchen. Good luck to Kitchen, who's under contract.
I'll send him your regards.
All right. See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, AJ Mitnick from Las Vegas. Wow. So we're coming to the end of our show. It's been quite an interesting show. Who have we had on, Moshe?
All right. So we started things off with the Cub Buning from Denver.
Right.
And then we went for some soccer with Mark Serber. Then we had a little bit of football talk.
Right.
Just the two of us.
Yeah.
That was good times.
It was fun, yeah.
And then we finished off with a nice 1-2 with Clinari and then AJ Mitnick, the scout for Richon Lezion, who is now currently out in Vegas checking out the talent.
Right, and tomorrow's programming will be back to normal. Ari Louis and Andy Gershwin will join you. Until then, have a good night, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed our show. I hope everyone enjoyed our program. We start off with 6 with Monday quarterback with Aaron Kralik. And then we had Tracy, Jewish Geography with Tracy at 8 p.m. And then a 2-hour edition with Louis Live. That's it for me and Moshe.
Good night.